Hi, this is Jordan Bennett with Jordan Bennett and Associates at Keller Williams Realty, and today I'm going to answer the question, how much home can I afford? So there's a couple things that you want to think about when it comes to figuring out how much home you can afford. First off, you're going to need to speak with a lender and figure out what does your debt ratio look like. So that essentially is a factor of what is your total payment plus any debts that you may have, which would include things like car payments, student loans, a minimum credit card payment, and all of that divided by your total income is what a lender is going to look at primarily to make sure that you fall within the right guidelines. Now, it's important to remember there's a distinction between what you can afford according to a lender and what you may feel comfortable spending. So it doesn't mean that because you have an approval letter that says you can have a payment of $3,500 a month that you necessarily can really afford that payment, because you've got to figure out things that the lender may not be looking at, like what do you spend on groceries, what do you spend at Starbucks, things that they're not going to use to factor into that ratio. So there's really two things. There's what does the lender say you can afford, and what do you feel comfortable affording. Now, when it comes to your actual payment, something that's important to consider is looking at what is your true cost of home ownership. And now when you're looking at that total payment, there's two things that you essentially have to back out of that payment to come up with your real housing expense. One is your debt pay down. So what that means is every time you make a mortgage payment, a good portion of that payment, in the beginning a small portion, is going to be principal, which means you're actually paying down that debt, essentially forcing you to save because you're paying down that home and building equity while you're doing that. The other thing you want to back out of that payment is the tax consequence of owning a home. So that means at the end of the year you're going to get to deduct your mortgage interest as well as your property taxes from your total income. And that is going to have a tax benefit. You've got to figure out what that is on a monthly basis and back that out of your payment as well. Once you've done those two things, you've figured out your true expense of owning a home on a monthly basis, and then you've got to determine, does that make sense? I'd love to speak with you more on this issue. Thanks for watching.